Note to self, don't be gay in Indiana. Wow, I was not expecting this film to be what it was. I was not. It snuck up on me like a lesbian ninja, and I'm blown away. It's so nice to sit down, watch a lesbian film, and feel joy. What is this feeling so sudden and new? Instead of feeling crushing despair and tears upon my cheeks. Actually, there were tears on my cheeks when watching this film because you know what? This film lures you in with comedy, and then when you're least expecting it, sucker punches you straight in the heart. It's very deceptive. It's like the Venus flytrap of lesbian cinema. Hi guys, welcome to a video, and in today's video I'm just going to be reviewing the 2020 film Ellie and Abbie and Ellie's Dead Aunt, written and directed by Monica Zanetti. Oh, I have a lot to say about this film. I do. As a heads up, this video will contain spoilers, so if you have not seen this film, you have been warned. If you're not familiar with Ellie and Abbie and Ellie's Dead Aunt, it's about school captain Ellie who is seriously crushing on her rebellious classmate Abbie. Determined to ask Abbie out to the Year 12 formal, Ellie devises a plan to go public with the invitation. But before she can go through with it, her dead aunt Tara reappears from beyond the grave. Believing she's been brought back from the dead to be Ellie's fairy godmother, Tara dishes out unwanted dating advice based on her life as an out lesbian in the 80s. So first of all, I'm soft and a sucker for romance, but second of all, I'm soft. And anytime I watch anything that touches upon gay and lesbian history, I always get really emotional. But hey, I think being emotional is a good thing, except maybe when I go to get my morning coffee and start oversharing all of my existential dread with my lesbian barista. I mean, she's not mine. I mean, there's some chemistry between us, but it's not like that. I mean, it could be if she wanted it to be. Actually, you know, is it really chemistry or is it delusion? I have never known the difference. Okay. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is she doesn't get paid enough to listen to my feelings as well as make me coffee. I mean, listening to feelings is what therapists are for. And speaking of therapists, this video is a paid partnership with BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online therapy solution that with just a few clicks can connect you with a diverse pool of therapists. Filling out a personalised questionnaire means you'll have your needs assessed and be matched with someone, even if you're looking for a more specialised type of therapist. It can be really helpful to be matched with a therapist who can understand your individual needs and experiences. Whether that be a therapist who understands gay and lesbian experience or a therapist who understands disability and neurodivergence. If it turns out you want to try a new therapist, you don't even have to have the awkward breakup chat. You literally just click a button and like that, you're ready to try someone new. It can be so time consuming trying to find a therapist who is right for you but also in your area and who also fits around your schedule. BetterHelp makes finding a therapist so much more convenient, and it also cuts out the ordeal of having to physically travel to and from a location, which makes therapy so much more accessible for everyone. BetterHelp believes that everyone, no matter your age, gender, race, sexuality, or disability status, should be entitled to therapy, and I do too. With BetterHelp, you can schedule video sessions with your therapist anytime and anywhere, which is great. So if you're interested in trying BetterHelp, head to the link in my description, betterhelp.com/Suffolk Underground for 10% off your first month. Now let's get into the review. So the reason I actually ended up watching Ellie and Abbie and Ellie's Dead Aunt is because I was looking for something light-hearted to review. A lot of the content I've been consuming lately has been quite heavy, quite depressing, and I'm over it. And when I came across the trailer for this film, I found myself laughing out loud, which of course made me want to watch the whole film. And from the trailer, I suspected I would like this film, but I wasn't expecting to love it quite as much as I did. I found Abbie and Ellie's attempts at flirting and getting to know one another not only hilarious but relatable too. The comedic timing in this film is nothing short of genius, and there's a real thread of authenticity running throughout it too, which made it incredibly easy to connect to. I can't tell you how refreshing it is to watch a lesbian film and feel joy and happiness. However, and this is the kick, this film lures you in with a false sense of peppiness and unseriousness. There's light-hearted jokes about gay fairy godmothers and lesbian aunts being called lasagnas. I don't know why I found that so funny. It's so silly, and yet it was so funny. So you're laughing along, and then before you know it, you've been sucker punched in the heart and there's tears rolling down your cheeks. Because despite the comedic elements in this film, the core message is about generational differences in lesbian experiences and acknowledging the sacrifices that older lesbians and gay men made for the sake of younger gay and lesbian generations. And it gets real. It gets real. The film not only explores society's evolving attitudes towards homosexuality, but it explores how the changing social climate has impacted the way that lesbians navigate their sexuality and experience coming out today. And what's interesting about the film is it seeks to portray that in the Western world, whilst being a lesbian is definitely a lot more normalised than it once was, it's still something that marks you as different. And younger generations of lesbians still have to work through the inheritance of death and shame that previous generations of lesbians experienced. And the film impressively integrates these rather heavy conversations in a digestible and nuanced way. The coming out aspect of this film is also unique because Ellie completely accepts her sexuality from the start and doesn't understand what the big deal is about being gay and coming out. As opposed to the usual coming out narrative in lesbian cinema where the entire film often revolves around the protagonist coming to terms with their sexuality. The other unique element in this film is the way that Ellie's mother reacts to Ellie being gay. Because of course at first she doesn't react well, but that's because it's tied into the death of her sister and not because she takes issue with same-sex attraction. I have to say at first I did struggle to understand the relationship between Ellie and her mum and the friction around Ellie's sexuality. It felt very awkwardly written, but as the film unfolds you begin to understand why it felt so awkward and uncertain, and then everything falls into place. I also thought that Sophie Hawkshaw and Zoe Terakes just had incredible chemistry and offered so much emotional nuance in their individual performances, which just made all of their scenes so engaging and affecting. Abbie and Ellie's interactions felt so authentic and relatable. I especially related to Ellie overthinking and making everything 10 times more difficult than it needed to be, instead of just simply asking the girl out. In fact, it felt like a personal attack. It did. As well as being rich in chemistry, the film is also rich in emotionally intense scenes, which explore the impact of homophobia from different perspectives in an intelligent, thought-provoking way. Two prime examples of this are firstly the scene where Ellie and Patty are talking in the car, and Ellie is explaining how when she was younger, a boy gave her flowers, and the light-hearted reaction that elicited from both Patty and her mum. But now that she has a crush on another girl, there's a total absence of that light-heartedness, and in its place, there's an underlying tension. And this scene is so powerful because it highlights an anxiety and tension over homosexuality that stems from previous trauma, and a fear of how a homosexual loved one's life might be made harder, as opposed to a fear of homosexuality itself. And Sophie Hawkshaw does an incredible job of conveying just how hurtful that perceived lack of support and enthusiasm from Patty and Ellie's mum is for that part of Ellie, even if it comes from a place of concern. Alongside Rachel House, Sophie brings so much depth and authenticity to this scene. It gives it such a raw vulnerability and underscores the emotional damage that can occur even from more inadvertent blatant and complex forms of homophobia. And secondly, the scene where Ellie and Abbie are sat down talking outside Abbie's front door, and Abbie explains to Ellie how she was outed when she was younger and the trauma this has left her with. And I found this scene so affecting because it highlights the experience of a generation who are existing through actively changing attitudes towards homosexuality, and how they're having to navigate those changes both internally and externally. This scene also touches upon the fact that just because society is currently moving in a supposedly post-homophobic direction, that doesn't mean that previous negative experiences and trauma caused from homophobia before just disappear. And again, this scene is executed in such an intelligent and emotionally charged way. The dialogue and the messaging in it is really transcended. But honestly, there's so many powerful moments in this film, which is a result of both the amount of care and love that was poured into it and the incredible cast, who all gave 110% in their performances. Monica Zanetti has actually spoken about how she went out of her way to cast mostly queer actors, and I think this very much plays into the authenticity and heart of this production. The cast very much understood the assignment, and they understood the core message of this film, and that understanding was really reflected in their performances. And of course, the cherry on top of this beautiful cake is its adorable happy ending. And considering the core messaging about the suffering and sacrifices of previous generations of lesbians and the heavier aspects of the film, the ending just felt very hopeful and healing, which I thought was the perfect note to end on. I don't have any criticisms for this film at all, which is incredibly rare on this channel. I do love a criticism, as we all know. I mean, it is a low budget production, but to be honest, that's not something I actively noticed when watching the film. I wasn't sat there like, damn, this film is giving broke, you know? And on a technical level, there's really nothing to complain about. I think the film is fine for what it is. It's not trying to be Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Overall, I adore and appreciate this film so much. It's a really unique and well-made production that stands out against every single other lesbian coming out film that I've seen. And alongside the fact that it's a solid production, you can just tell that this film comes from a really good place. And this is the kind of cinema that I enjoy reviewing on this channel, because I understand the value of it and I understand the amount of work it took to get it made. It's just a really positive contribution to lesbian cinema, and I appreciate it. So just a huge thank you to Monica Zanetti and the entire cast and crew for making such a meaningful and funny production, which really shone a ray of light into the darkness of my life. Okay guys, if you've seen Ellie and Abbie and Ellie's Dead Aunt, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe for instant disappointment, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!